What are the severe problems that Chinese nation is facing that is hindering their potential, maybe to some extent, and those reasons might be why China may be trapped in a middle income trap. The first problem is all about the economy, as economy is slowing down to 5% of GDP growth year over year, which suggests that the economic boom of prior years before COVID lockdown will not return, and they have to face a number of challenges coming from their real estate sector, which is facing a lot of crisis, and government is willing to stimulate the economy because real estate alone accounts for almost 1/3 of the Chinese GDP, creating a lot of employment and consumption and a lot of room for growth. And when that stops, of course the economy will suffer and people will suffer. More than 83% of the government spending comes from local governments, and local governments are heavily indebted, which means they have to sell land to compensate that, and which is not happening. Another thing about economy is trade and tariff war, which is being driven by US and European Union to counter China's growing influence in various advanced manufacturing sectors like electric vehicles, solar, and others. The export restrictions will not help China as its economy is heavily dependent on manufacturing of advanced products as well as low-end manufacturing, as they are trying to diversify away from China because of various reasons like supply chain issues during COVID lockdown and competition with United States, causing to diversify foreign direct investment as well as other manufacturing components, which is also because Vietnam, Philippines, and other Southeast Asian nations are developing rapidly in manufacturing sector as Chinese labor wage is increasing. The main hurdle here is China wants to advance into advanced manufacturing with the application of robots in industries and factories. We have seen their unmanned boats, and even all of that requires high advanced technology, the likes of semiconductor chips, which United States is not willing to allow China to use their product. Another problem China faces is population decline and aging. As one-child policy for long period of time, they have not been able to grow their population, which is around 1.4 billion people, and less younger people means it will be very hard for young people to support old generation regarding their pensions, healthcare, etc., which might also in future give rise to labor shortages, driving up wages and reducing economic productivity. In order to account for this fact, China is installing heavily in robots and automation in industries and factories. Autonomous driving could be another thing. Industrial robots will be there in factories, offices, homes. Another thing is food and energy security. How China is reliant on other countries for its food and energy, particularly because of its population as well as low arable land. That's why they have been investing heavily on Africa, South America, United States to buy farmland to produce food for the Chinese people. And when it comes to energy supply, they are reliant on Gulf countries and Russia for petroleum products, and in case of any disturbance like in any kind of proxy war or economic and tariff war which will escalate into some form of war, then at that time United States will choke China's imports of food and energy, as United States is heavily guarding international water. To solve this problem, they might have to innovate within China to increase their arable land, to foster new kinds of seeds that require less water, as well as vertical farming to grow foods without using soil. And they have been stockpiling food for 1 year if any kind of crisis happens, which might affect the food prices as well as people's livelihood. The other concern is environmental degradation and climate change, which is a severe threat to China, as there is water shortages in the north, the shrinking arable land, pollution was a huge problem and still is a huge problem. That's why China is developing electric vehicles. China uses heavy coal for electricity generation within their country, and use of electric vehicles will help mitigate the imports of energy from abroad while utilizing coal of their own. And that is a very strategic move by China to invest heavily in electric vehicles within the last 10 years, and that result have shown huge progress all over the world. Other crises could be income inequality between rich and poor, between rural and urban areas, which might give rise to domestic tensions.